Good morning, everyone. Just check, this is the module introduction for ARC554. Great, you look like the right people. My name is Aidan Hoggard, I'm the module coordinator. Okay, I'm just going to turn that down a bit. Okay, so just before we begin, just a quick reminder that the live calendar for the module is in the ARC Technology website. Okay, it's the live Google Calendar. Please don't use any of those bits of paper that you've been given. Okay, they're probably out of date. Okay, or they were never right. The module handbook has the same information as the Google Calendar. So the information in the module handbook is extracted straight from the Google Calendar. If I change anything in the Google Calendar, I will update the module handbook. But basically, this is always live. And any events in this calendar are tied to events in my calendar. So if I move an event in my calendar, it will move here. And that way, we will always be at the same place at the same time. Okay? And if you want to, you can press that little plus button there, and that will add it to your Google Calendar. Okay, so okay, right. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through some of the basic kind of themes and ideas of the course today, the module, but there'll be a lot more later on. There are specific introductions for the two assessed components of this module later in the year. So I'm not going to go into full detail on everything today, it's more just to give you an overview. Okay, so we'll cover this, the module handbook. We'll talk about analog digital work, specificity of technology, the lecture series, tutorials, complex material assembly, and integrated technology. But this is all going to be fairly brief. Okay? The session is being recorded, and generally any session that can be recorded, I will record, and that video will go up onto YouTube. It takes about a week, because I just need to tidy it up a little bit. But it does mean that if you have to miss something, it's not the end of the world. You can watch that video later. Okay? I mean, obviously, try and attend events, but if you have something on, that any reason you just can't make it, the video is there. But generally, the normal sort of policy is you're expected to attend all classes, and if you have a good reason, you should, normally just send me an email just to say why you can't be here. Okay, that would be appreciated. We've got sweets. Okay. Don't always have sweets, but I always say there are sweets. So that anybody who's sat at home thinking, look how clever I am, I'm going to watch this on YouTube later. Alright, so if you're listening, we're having sweets. You're welcome. Okay. Okay, module handbook. Let's go into that first. Just find it. So, everybody's accessing on Mole? Yeah, you all know how to use Mole? Great. So the module handbook is on Mole. I had a little bit of a clear up on Mole yesterday, because what Mole does, it automatically brings everything over from the previous year and puts it into this year. So there's a whole load of stuff on there from last year's lectures, which you don't need to see at the moment. So if you go on Mole at the moment, I think this is the only thing that's on Mole, but I will be populating it as we go. When I produce the YouTube videos, I always embed the video into Mole. Okay, so you can find it on YouTube. If you search for Aidan Hoggard, you'll find it, or they'll be under your Mole course. So the module handbook is really important because it's the kind of primary place where we put all the information about the module. So you really do need to read this, okay, every word of it. Okay, don't just skim it, but really, really read it. Okay. So that's me. For queries, generally the best thing is to email me, and then I'll either respond directly to the email. Give me a few days, okay? Give me a few days. You wouldn't like to see my inbox. Right, it's pretty messy, but I do need a few days to reply. Or I'll arrange an appointment to see you. Okay, that's the way I prefer to do it. It doesn't really work that well if you knock on my door, on my office door, which you can. I don't mind, but it's potluck. You know, I might be there, I might not be there. I might be there, but I might be too busy. All right. So generally, the best thing is to email me. Also, you know, I'm happy to take questions at the end of lectures, but just bear in mind that I might have another lecture in 10 minutes' time. So, you know, if lots of people are asking questions, generally, I haven't got time. So, best thing is an email. Okay, the module Introduction and Aims. I'm not going to read through that now because you can read it yourself. It's a 10-credit module. Okay, 10 credits equates to 100 hours of study. And as with a lot of your modules, that is a combination of kind of taught lectures, tutorials, and a large component of independent learning. So, as I'm sure you're familiar with, in architecture school, you spend a lot of time doing your own work, doing your own project work, and a kind of much smaller time actually sat in lectures. Learning outcomes are there, and skills and employability. The timetable we've talked about, there's the link to it, and as I said, the timetable in the handbook is extracted straight from the Google Calendar, so it is the same. There will be a separate timetable issued for technology tutorials. I can't issue that yet because we're bringing in a lot of external consultants for that, and there's no way I can pin their dates in their diary this early on. Okay? But when we do get those tutorials, they will be added to the calendar and you'll be notified. That's the assessment method. So just briefly, because as I say, we have these separate sessions for the assessments. But there are 2 assessment points for the module. The first one is complex material assembly. And I'll come back to that in this slide to show you a few examples. And that's 40% of your module mark. And the second submission is your integrated portfolio technology. And I will talk more about that. Just to go back to the dates, the complex material assembly submission, Friday the 20th of March, and the integrated technology submission is 27th or 28th of May. Okay, so your submissions are a long way off, but you know that they're there. Okay. Feedback. Yeah, just pointing out here that, just to bear in mind that when you're having a tutorial with your studio tutors, this may be a point for technology discussion. Don't think that technology discussion only happens when you have a sort of technology-specific tutorial. You know, I'd expect in any architectural project you're talking about technology throughout. So I just made a note about that. We do, though, provide specialist technology tutorials at key points throughout the year, and we'll be having some project sustainability tutorials. There'll be more kind of constructional materiality tutorials, and there will be structures tutorials. And some of those tutorials will be with external consultants, and we think that's a really good experience for you. So we'll be bringing in consultant engineers and consultant sustainability advisors, and you'll be having a tutorial with those people. I think it's a good experience for you to work with those sort of professional people, get familiar with that, because obviously when you go out into the workplace, that's kind of session that you'll have to be involved in. And then some of those tutors may be internal members of staff as well. Some of them, you might get some tutorials from me as well. Then we have reviews throughout the year and studio reviews. Again, we'd expect there will be some discussion of technology in those. So although it's not, they're not specifically technology events, there is technology taking place, and there'll be feedback on that. In your tutorials, we tend to draw, and the tutors will be drawing away, and you get a digital copy of that later on in the day, so you've got a record of the tutorial. The complex material assembly, you get written feedback with a grade. And in fact, what I do need to just do is go back just to point out that the complex material assembly submission is a digital only submission. So we're just submitting it onto Mole. Don't need a piece of paper for that. Okay. More will come out when we have the briefing session. Plagiarism and information skills. This is some standard university information which you can read. It's very important. Academic support. There are some links there to support sites. I'll come back to that in the presentation. The precepts of sustainable design. These are a set of kind of design criteria that we put together in the school as reference points throughout your design projects. It's not like a tick list. It's not something you need to go through and tick everything off, but something to use creatively, to look through that and to think in your project, what's your approach? And they're very kind of carefully considered, and they take you through various range of sustainability aspects that are kind of relevant to an architectural project. So, I'd really like you to read those quite carefully and to keep refreshing yourself throughout the year, and maybe periodically when you're looking at your project, read these again and think, what's my position here? What's my approach? Is there something here that I've just forgotten? I just missed it. Is there something here which actually I've got something very interesting in my project? You might find these also useful reference points in terms of organising your tutorials with your tutor or with a technology specialist by bringing specific issues from these precepts to a tutorial. Okay, so that's the module handbook. So analog digital, I think this is an interesting area in terms of technology, because as I'm sure you're aware, there have been some big developments in the last 10 years in terms of kind of digital production, BIM, simulation, digital fabrication, and it's an area which is constantly changing. And I kind of encourage you to be conscious in your work of what's your kind of position in terms of analog work, digital work. And I'm not pushing either or both. It's up to you to decide how you want to work. Some of the lecture course will be delivering some digital skills. So there'll be, I think I'll talk about it later, but there'll be some sessions on kind of specific simulation techniques. Also there's some analog simulation techniques. So we'll be introducing some themes and some skills to you in relation to that. And we're going to watch a short video now. I just have to get the sound working, which I think is I find it quite an inspiring video. It's about a chair. It's not actually about a building, about a chair. But I think it demonstrates a really kind of interesting approach in terms of analog digital workflow. So let's just watch it.